Hello, I'm Erica Reed. I'm with the Center for Musical Arts, and today I'm talking to Rachel Fetler, who runs our kids choir. How are you, Rachel?
I'm great, Erica. Thanks.
Rachel, can you tell me a little bit about just the structure of the kids choir class? What age are we talking about, and how are those classes run?
Currently, it's about age 5 to 9. Sometimes it skews a little more one way or another. It's an hour long and once a week class. It's a no homework kind of class where kids just come in and they do the music. They do get folders, so they can always sing at home if they want, but there's no assignments. We do a lot. We start off with a lot of call and response and substitution songs. So even if kids are not really great at reading, they can still absorb it through their ears, through copying, which is how that's the original way of learning how to sing, was listening to somebody and then just remembering it and repeating it. And then I also like to incorporate a lot of songs where the kids get to put in their own words or their own verses. People may be familiar with something like Down by the Bay, where you make up your own little rhyming phrase at the end. That kind of song really gets them involved, and they get to shout something out at the appropriate time, taking turns. And then they can settle down and do some singing where everybody's just singing the same thing.
Wonderful. So we have another interview that I can link to where we talk more about your background, but singing is a lifelong passion and a lifelong part of your education. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you came to be teaching singing?
Sure. Well, I wanted to sing from an early age. I actually started off taking violin lessons because my grandfather played violin, and I thought that looked more interesting than piano for whatever reason. And then when I was about 12, my family decided I was old enough to take singing lessons. So I did, and I was classically trained in singing lessons. And of course, as soon as I started taking singing, my teacher said, well, if you're going to be serious about it, you have to learn how to play the piano. So I learned how to play the piano. Not great, but enough to get by. And so I've had the music around me all my life, but even before that, I think everyone in my family would sing songs to the kids. My mother thought it was very important to sing folk songs to children, and my father would sing little things from his childhood. Even my grandmother, who was notorious for having no sense of pitch, would still sing songs that her grandfather had sung to her when she was a kid, and those are very special. So you don't have to be, at all professionally trained to engage with your children in that way. And kids don't care. They just want to learn the songs and have fun. I was always drawn to story songs, a lot of folk songs that have like elaborate plots and 12 verses that tell everything that happened, and then they all die at the end. And I guess that was a good basis to lead eventually to opera. But there's all sorts of songs out there that kids are drawn to.
Wonderful. And you also have an education in early childhood education and music. And so you've got all that background, but then it sounds like you really focus on teaching the passion and the heart and that love of music.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you had mentioned to me that kids at this age, at the 5 to 9 age that we're talking about with the kids choir, that they are growing their own instrument. Can you tell me what that means and why it would be a good age to be in a choir?
Sure. These younger kids, they're intrinsically drawn to singing. Most of them love music. They, just the way they would love to twirl around and dance, but they're not necessarily ready to have the sort of rigorous training that you would get with a teenager or an adult. And they also really enjoy the social interaction with other kids, and being in a group, learning songs together really fosters that, both the learning of music and also the sense of community that is naturally a part of music. So this way they get both of those things. I'm always sneaking in slightly more esoteric or harder songs in between the familiar stuff and the stuff that they enjoy doing. So they get a bit of an education too. And they are learning things that will stay with them for the rest of their life.
Would this be a good, if I wanted to have my kid take voice lessons, would this be a good precursor to that?
I think it would, because they're soaking up songs, they're soaking up repertoire. I'm also giving them a familiarity with, or a comfort with, singing with other people around who are listening to you, not critically, but at this age, this is where they start getting self-conscious and start saying, I don't want to be on stage. I don't want to do this. I don't want to put myself out. And if they've had good experiences at this young age with that, then they kind of skip over that and they can go, it's no big deal. I'm just singing with my friends. And then that can extrapolate to, oh, it's no big deal. I'm just doing my song on stage.
I love that. Is there anything else that you'd like to tell me about how this class is run, or who would enjoy this class, or the benefits of singing in a choir?
Sure, I'll tell you, well, there's tons of studies out there about the psychological and physiological benefits of singing in a group, and which it mainly talks about adults, but I think it goes right down to the kid level. And but I'll give you an example. We always have a performance at the end, even if we've just done a summer session that's 6 weeks long. We've just learned a few songs. We do a little performance for the parents, and the kids sing their songs. Last session we had, one kid was a little younger than the others, and he said, I don't want to sing. And I said, that's okay. You don't have to, because you can just sit by me. I'm at the piano. You can sit on the piano bench right next to me, and you don't have to sing. Or you can sing if you want, but you don't have to stand up with the others. But I'm doing a lot of up and down. And so I started out on the piano, they sang their piece, then I jumped up with the ukulele and I was playing with them, and he came along with me, and he just stood up there for the rest of the time. When I went back to the piano, he stayed with the other kids up on stage and sang along, and he didn't have any problem at all. So
that's the experience you're cultivating then. That confidence and that inclusion.
Exactly. And then, it's like, oh, this doesn't bother me. I can stay here and I can sing. And that's what makes it really worthwhile for them and for me.
It sounds to me that even if it's not necessarily voice that your child wants to continue with, that it's a good grounding for musicianship and performance, and just that the joy of music.
Absolutely. And I'd say I had one student who was actually a phenomenal pianist. She was only about 10, I think, when she started taking lessons with me. She's already taking piano lessons with one of the CU professors, because she was at that level. Wow. But her father was a scientist, and he said, I think it would be good for you to have singing for emotional reasons, to make your music more emotional. And so she started taking voice lessons with me. And she was a dream student, because she had all the technique you could want and the level of expertise, but she wanted that emotional connection to music. And she saw the way to get that was through singing. Well,
I think that's really, you have a couple of great examples here of the ways that kids choir, even at age 5 to 9, can really set you up for all kinds of musicianship, which is something I learned today. There's so much more even just to kids choir than I was aware. So thank you so much for telling me about it today. And I will link information if anybody would like to join up. You've been doing this every semester, right?
Right. We got interrupted by the pandemic, of course,
sure.
But then we came back and we're going stronger than ever now.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, Rachel.
Thank you, Erica.